Hello everyone, what's up and welcome to my channel. I am Natasha and this is a very weird intro because it's not how I usually start things. Anyway, for today's video, it's going to be a very short one, as you've probably seen, because it is my March wrap-up and I didn't read a lot of books in March. You guys are loud and unnecessary. So let's just delve right into them. The first book I read was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't know if I should explain to you guys what this is about because either everyone has seen the show or everyone has read the book. But anyway, for those of you who are not on mainstream media and who don't care, this is essentially an historical fiction about a group of band members who have fallen apart just after they became famous, and everyone wanted to know why, but there was no clear indication as to why they just split after becoming the most famous band in America in that 1970s? Is it 70s? Okay. So they become famous, and after I think 4 years they split up. No one knows why up until I think 60 years later, but they changed it in the show. So 60 years later in the book, someone comes and finally interviews all the band members and all the people who want to let their story be known. And I've heard a lot of people say that the audiobook is the best. I didn't have the audiobook, but I did have the physical copy and that broke me. We won't talk about it. This is my favorite book of March. So I read that book, gave it 5 out of 5 stars, loved every second of it, even though I didn't listen to the audiobook. I read it and I still enjoyed myself. Really, if you're not an audiobook girly, read it. It's cool. It's nice. You just have to reenact some voices and then get to know some of the characters before, because sometimes I got confused between Billy and Eddie. Don't ask me how, it just happened. So I'm rating the book 5 stars. And then I just want to mention the show. I know they changed some things in the show. I'm not mad about it. The show still had its essence. It actually had more fire for me, especially between Billy and Daisy, than it had in the book. And I think it's because the show traveled back in time and explained what happened, and it was kind of like this unveiling of how they became the Six and then Daisy Jones and the Six. So I really love the show. That will be my new comfort show. So the show I'm gonna give 4.75 merely because it's not the book. I don't know how else to explain it. It's not the book, so I'm just gonna, it's a 4.75, but it was still a very good show. And both the book and the show had me in tears. I couldn't stop crying. I will have a vlog up sometime, if it's not already up, where I just show a sneak peek of the end of Daisy Jones and the Six, the show, and how I just bawl my eyes out. So yeah, look forward to that. The next book I read was, I wouldn't call it an ARC, but I did receive it via Book Sirens, and it's called Daggers and Destiny by Revan Knight. It is a novella before the Altheria Chronicles. The books can be found on Kindle. This book is about a young girl called Marla, and she and her brother are just barely scraping by. They're living off the streets, and she just lost her job that actually keeps them fed. And her brother decides one day that he's going to steal something, and she freaks out about it, makes him give it back, but in the end she is then taken for a public beating. That sounds horrible. Lashing, a public lashing. And before anything of that happens, like the town's crazy lady comes to her rescue and says, she actually saved you. The stone that she stole she's the only person that can cleanse this, I don't know, town. So the crazy lady takes her in for the night, and there she discovers that she is kind of like the chosen one for this stone, and she has to protect the stone at all costs. And there's warring because apparently she has powers, and just before she's trying to learn how to use these powers, the general and the war comes and kills everyone in their town. It's a very sweet story of how Altheria was created. It was very nice. Although I just gave it 3 stars because I felt like sometimes it lacked something. I did give in my review where I said I wasn't aware that there were going to be supernatural beings in it, and suddenly they were talking about werewolves, and I was like, what? Where'd you come from? I thought we were only talking about magic, but apparently it's like supernaturals and magic, and it's a world full of them. It was a fun time. It was a very fast read, and I'm looking forward to start reading the series. I just need to get a chunk of other books read. Okay, then the third book I read was an ARC I also received from Book Sirens, and it is called The Elias Academy by Laura Ray. I'm still stunned by this book. The world building was just so exceptional for me. I have fallen in love with this book. I cannot wait for the next book to come out. I'm just anticipating it. I just want more, and it ended on such a cliffhanger that I'm just like, I need to know more. Anyway, what the story is about is we follow 19-year-old Laurie, and she has been living her life just like a normal girl. You know, what else can go wrong? Anyway, she does live in a very poor state because her father is very sick and they're struggling to stay afloat. Okay, one day she's out with her friend and she's being stalked by this weird force field thing. So she's just like, okay, I'm feeling weird about it. And then suddenly she's being pushed out into an alleyway. She's like, what is happening? And then this person attacks her. It's a weird looking person and they try to steal her magic. But people from the Elias Academy come to her rescue, and then they give her the proposition that she has to stay in this academy to learn about her magic because she has very powerful magic of which she did not know. She has the choice, either she has to learn her magic or she has to go back to the human world and face whatever this monster was and be killed. So she decides to stay at the academy, but the problem is, while at the academy, there are people conspiring against her to kill her, and she's trying to figure out who it is before time runs out, and that's all we know. It is so good. Like I say, the world building is phenomenal. You get fae, not like I've read before. Vampires, again, not like I read before. I think there's werewolves. The werewolves in Wednesday give me the vibes of werewolves in the Elias Academy. And then you get aliens. Never thought I'd have these three supernaturals and aliens. I didn't think they would pair together, but the author does it so well that I was like very shocked and stunned and still obsessed about this book. So I really hope that the second book comes out very fast. I did get from the author herself a novella about Laurie's best friend, and I'm dying to read that one. The next book I read was a classic, Pride and Prejudice by, I want to keep calling her Jane Eyre. It's Jane Austen. Okay, so this book is basically about a headstrong girl called Elizabeth Bennet, and like she knows what she wants, basically, and she does take no for an answer, but you know, she's very opinionated about everything, and she's looking for this perfect kind of love. Then we get Mr. Darcy. I can't remember what his name is, but anyway, he has a list of things how a woman should be, and Elizabeth doesn't fit that bill, surprisingly. So they have this continuous banter with each other while the story is going on. And that is the best way I can explain this book. I'm sure everyone has read the book, either in high school or you've seen the movie. So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm not gonna lie. It took me a while to get into this book. Mainly, I think it's because of the language. I'm not used to Old English, and because I've read so much recent fantasy books that my brain was just, it took a while to wire myself into the Old English language. And also, I also said in my vlog, which will be up next week, I mentioned that the audiobook on script is atrocious. It's horrible. Don't listen to that audiobook. I don't know, find an audiobook somewhere else, get it on Audible, but do not listen to that audiobook. It is horrible. So yeah, that just dampened my mood even more. And it felt like the book was 600 pages long, even though it wasn't. So I don't know, everything was just too much for me. I did enjoy it in the end, and I think I can actually thank the movie for that, because after I read the book I watched the movie and I just didn't feel so bored out of my brain with the movie. So essentially I gave it 4 stars because I did enjoy it. I just didn't enjoy the experience of it. That sounds so weird. Like, I like the book, just the language barrier. It's very complicated to explain this to you, because I think a lot of you will be like, but if you didn't enjoy the book, you should give it a lower star. I don't know. Like I say, it's hard to explain. I'm not going to justify myself. I'm giving it 4 stars thanks to the movie, because I was rating the book and not the movie. Yeah? No. Okay. That was a mess.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then the last book that I read halfway is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, and that is basically just the last book so far in the ACOTAR series, and it follows Nesta, the prickly Nesta, and how she has to come over herself and the traumas that she faced during the war with Hybern. That is all I can explain to you. So anyway, that is the books that I read in March. I'm so sorry for the continuous flare of my camera. I should probably not be standing next to the window. Hey, there's an idea. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below if you've read any of these books, if you liked any of these books, if you've seen Daisy Jones and the Six and what you thought about it, or if you've just read it and you don't want to watch the show because you're scared it's going to essentially mess up the story. Fair enough. But yeah, give me your thoughts down below and I'll see you guys in a video next week. Bye.